valid. We don't pray to, all of us don't pray to the same God. So again, the very premise of the question might be knocked out. Because if you say we all worship the same God, then I'll say, all right, that's your theory and that's fine. But I'm saying we don't pray to the same God. So let's put both of them and check it out. And if you check it out, the truth is we don't.
But they say they acknowledge like God, not, most of them, like the Jewish, that they've got difficult trusting that Jesus was God in flesh. But like when they say
I didn't get your question.
I'm saying like the Jews
Yes.
say they don't believe that Christ was God in flesh.
Yes.
Yes. So, but when they pray, they
Yes.
pray to God the Father.
Their name is Yahweh. That's the name that they pray to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's use that word. So Yahweh, they pray to Yahweh, God. Yes.
Yes. But, so you are saying to me, at the end of the day, this religion thing, we all pray to God. So is that wrong?
I still didn't get the question.
Okay, so like I'm saying, I was talking to my neighbor, he's Hindu. He's saying we all, like I'll say most religions believe that God the Father is the God.
But that's exactly what I said. We already studied and we showed that is false. So once a statement is false, we can't go back to the false statement and then ask a question on the false statement. We do not pray to the same God. We did that study already. It's settled. Yeah. So now if we go back to that, the question is moot. They're starting off itself with something that I will not agree. So you cannot say we pray to all God and yes, sir, let's go to the next question. No, that question itself, I'll say, wait a minute. Do we really pray to the God? And we studied it 1 full hour, went through all the points back and forth, and we found that it does not stand to either information or logic. Okay. No, sorry. So in other words, we have to do a study on that point. Mm-hmm. Once we do a study on that point, then we'll go to the next question.
All right.
Yeah, it's wrong to say that all religions lead to the same God, and there's only one God up there, whether it's called Krishna, or whether it's called Allah, whether it's called Jesus, whether it's called Ahura Mazda, it's all the same. No, it is not the same. They're entirely different. And when I use the word irreconcilable difference, that's what I mean. Irreconcilably different descriptions. There was one more question here.
Okay. So you have...
is that okay? But I know I cut you short only because we had already settled it.
No, I had 2 questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the other one, I happened to see this conversation on Facebook, and these people were arguing that there's a DVD, The Son of God. And then some were saying, I won't watch that because God wasn't white. And they were carrying on. So I was just reading their comments. What do you think?
Again, what's the question?
What was Christ? I know he was Jewish. Yeah, like race.
No, once again, I didn't get the question. What is the question?
What race was Christ?
What race was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Jew. He was born in a Jewish family of the tribe of Judah. Mm-hmm. That we know. Because if you look the lineage, you can take it back to David, back to Judah, and off to Abraham, and back till Adam you can go. But when you can follow it down into Jewish culture, he was a Jew, and he came as a Jew to the human race.
Okay. So black or white? Or nothing?
I didn't get your last statement.
Black or white? Or
what's that?
Black or white? Is color or mixed?
No, I didn't get those words. I'm sorry.
Okay, so was he mixed? Was he black? Was he white?
Oh. When you look at a Palestinian today, look at some of the features that they have today, he was neither white nor black, he was brown. Okay. Because Palestinians were brown because they lived in a place where there was a lot of sunshine. And if you ever go to a sunshine, no matter how white you are, you'll become brown.
Okay.
Jesus was not white.
Uh-huh.
He was a Palestinian of a Jewish lineage. And a Jewish lineage living in the deserts of Arabia and the Palestine basically are brown. So I wouldn't, if you ask me specifically, if I were to draw a picture of Christ, I wouldn't put him as a white man with blue eyes.
Okay. All right. So
No.
thank you.
Okay, our last question for the evening.
Evening, Doc. Thank you so much for the presentation. So today I don't know if I can call it tested or tried, but a colleague of mine actually made a statement that almost got me upset, but I'm learning to be an inquirer. She said, disappointments will not stop happening because Christ has been promising to come back. And then her argument was that people are always going to let people down because clearly Christ is not coming back. Now my question is, how do you reason with somebody who almost wants to suggest that the coming back of Christ is a myth?
Is a what?
A myth. Like it's something that's not believable because it's been promised from hundreds of years ago.
Let's try to analyze what we are saying here. A myth is what happened already.
Okay, yeah.
You cannot call a myth to something that's going to happen. You can call it a false prophecy. Is that what you're saying?
It's more like a false promise, yeah. Like
Yeah,
broken,
false promise.
Yeah.
When you say somebody made a false promise, it's very difficult until that promise time has come and gone, number one. Only at that point can you say it's a false promise. So now before that time, it could be a legitimate promise and it could also be a false promise. So let's agree that there are two ways in which we can look at it. A false promise or a legitimate promise. For that, the only way we have right now is the story of Jesus. That's all we have. In the story of Jesus, how many lies did he tell? If he did not tell a lie in his story while he was talking to ordinary people, then we can safely deduce most probably he was not telling a lie. Otherwise, we will say, yeah, he tells a lie here, tells a lie there. How can we see what he's going to do? In other words, the reliability of an individual now dictates whether we accept it or not. So is he reliable? Is he trustworthy in what he did and how he lived? And for that, we look at the people, even today, which look at his life and they're amazed at the absolute purity of his life. There was nothing in anything that he said that was questionable to a point that was against the truth of any matter. He never told, in other words, an outright lie just to fool the people. If he said this as a lie, man, that's a big lie, right? I'm coming back again when he's not coming back. And he's making a big promise of heaven and everything. It's a huge lie, if it's a lie. So when you make a big statement like that, you should have a big level of evidence to say that he made a big lie. That's how I would say. So when you look at the fact that the way he spoke, what he did, like we saw today, his main idea was to address a person's need, deep needs. And we do have a need of hope. I'll close with just this. When we studied the people who were gone through the Nazi concentration camp, we found that some people quickly died. And when they looked at that, I mean, the conditions were horrible. And none of us can ever fault them for giving up hope. They gave up hope, they died. But there was another group that never gave up hope. They'd look at those big gates, and in their mind they said, one day the gate will open, I'm walking out. No matter what my condition is, I will walk out. And we find that from that group, more of the people survived. There was one more group among those who thought that those gates will open. This group not only did think the gates would open, at the end of the day, when everything is hopeless, big wire fences all electrified, and guys sitting up there with a machine gun looking at your head, big padlocks on the door. You know what these people would do? They sit together, huddle, quietly talk. What are they talking? What they will do when they get home. Making concrete plans. I have my loved one, I'm going to get married. I'm going to buy land. I'm going to build a house. I'm going to have sheep and cattle. I will raise a family. Their hope was absolutely concrete. The greatest number of those who survived the concentration camps came from that group. What am I saying? That as a human, it is hope that makes us go through life. This man came to give the human race a hope outside itself. So when he was trying to do these things, even if he told it wrong, his motive was to give us hope. So if he did not tell us a lie earlier, I can say, hey, there's a good chance he's not going to tell a lie now. Is that okay?
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. A round of applause for your great questions. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. So unfortunately, on this side of things, all good things must come to an end. It's not you, it's me. And so tomorrow is our last gathering for this particular session. We will be handing out some gifts tomorrow, like we stated on the pamphlets. So we want to encourage you, sorry to twist your necks, we want to encourage you to come through tomorrow with your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, your colleagues. And what we will try to do tomorrow is maintain the time and perhaps have a bit of an extended Q&A for those of you who might have questions that you did not have an opportunity to ask. Two last announcements. The first one is that the audio books and the DVDs are available at the back. And if you don't have the cash, you can do an EFT, and the details are there on the table. If you do not have cash and you are unable to do EFT, then we will have them available tomorrow as well. So thank you so much for having come through this evening. The last announcement is if you haven't registered.
I just want, tomorrow's one would be your question? Yeah. And I believe that's a very, it really takes us deep inside. And I want you to come prepared. We're not going to do much of a tussle back and forth. We're just going to do a description of a small story. Because that answer is given in that story. And just be prepared. You have been listening for 8 nights now, coming to the 9th night. It's right when you see evidence to make a decision on that evidence. So be prepared that in your own mind, you don't have to tell me anything, but in your own mind, see if the weight of evidence is here and see what you can relate to that weight of evidence. I'm throwing it out as a challenge to you. So tomorrow evening, we will end with a question: how come the most innocent man died the most torturous and horrible death? That's the question for tomorrow night.
Thank you. Good night.
Oh, yes.